السلام على رسول الله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي آمين يا رب العالمين. So today I want to extract few lessons from the story of Mongols because it is very closely related to us Muslims in America, especially whatever is happening in Palestine and whatever is happening with the Muslim Ummah in last few years. Almost 800 years back, around the beginning of 13th century, so we are in 21st, so let's say around 800 years ago, Muslims during the Abbasid Empire faced one of the biggest and unprecedented challenges when the east of Abbasid, the east of Khawarizm dynasty, there was a dynasty called Mongol dynasty. By the way, don't get confused in some of the Arabic, Urdu, Persian books, the names of Mongol you might find as Tatar or Tartar. I'm not teaching history class, but they are same thing, so I'm using Mongol for them right now. If you have to understand the modern day context, modern day China, modern day Russia, modern day Serbia, that was under Mongol dynasty back in the days. And right west to it, attached to the Mongol dynasty, was the starting of Abbasid dynasty. And before I can tell you how the Mongolian Empire came and committed massacre, not only among the Muslim empires, but even different dynasties, but let me tell you that Muslims around the 13th century, what was the situation of the Muslims? Because it is not only one incident which can be taken as on a vacuum level and say that this is the reason. There are multiple factors which are playing to become a reason of a disaster. Muslims under Abbasid Empire in 13th century were not very organized as we compare to, let's say, Khulafa Rashidin. After the death of Salahuddin Ayyubi, our hero, we couldn't keep up with his legacy, what he left behind. We had Abbasid Empire, but it was just a ceremonial Khalifa in Baghdad. He did not have his army, he was there for a barakah. And in Muslims regions, even though they were part of Abbasid Empire, but they were divided in different dynasties. And sad reality is that they were not only divided in different dynasties, but they were actually having beef. One dynasty within Muslim Empire was going to have a beef within other dynasty. One of the dynasty within Muslim Abbasid Empire was called as Khawarizm Empire. And that dynasty was a neighbor of Mongolian dynasty. This is important for us. Similarly, multiple civil wars were going on within Abbasid Empire in the Muslim regions. They were religiously divided. If you go and read the history of Ibn Athir and Ibn Kasir and others, you would see that during this time Shia-Sunni riots were going on. People were paying attention to small fiqh details, and they were not paying attention to the major theological aspects. Immorality, entertainment were rampant among the elites and the ruling classes of Abbasids. And then military-wise and ideologically, Abbasid Empire was not as strong as it used to be a few hundred years ago. These were the reasons, which were collective reasons of our downfall. But then comes Genghis Khan. By the way, Genghis Khan, don't get lost into the names. We want to extract one important lesson out of this story. Genghis Khan was the head, the leader of the Mongolian Empire. As a leader of Mongolian Empire, Genghis Khan, he and Khawarizm dynasty and Mongolian dynasty and Khawarizm dynasty had a business relationship. And then something happened, a mistake from our side, from Khawarizm dynasty, from a Muslim sultan, and I should not even call mistake. A blunder happened from a Muslim sultan, which basically caused a blood or a revenge, a fire of revenge within the hearts of Mongolian. And what was that? Sultan Khawarizm Shah, he was the leader of Khawarizm dynasty within a larger Abbasid empire. He and Genghis Khan within the Mongol empire, they had the pact that we were going to open our borders for the business and for the traders. 400 businessmen, 400 traders came from Mongolian dynasty for business reasons in Khawarizm, larger Muslim dynasties. At the border of Khawarizm dynasty, a Muslim governor working under Khawarizm dynasty, he became greedy when he saw those traders having so much goods and inventories. So he accused those 400 traders coming from Mongol as spies. And he sent a letter to the head, Sayyid Khawarizm Shah, that I suspect that these are not traders, these are spies. And he didn't do any investigation. He was not only arrogant, but he was ignorant of the fact that what can come after this. He says, you do whatever you want. And he basically killed those 400 businessmen. Out of those 400, 399 were killed. One ran away. This news reached to Mongol Empire. This news reached to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan still made one attempt to reconcile. And he sent his ambassador of Mongolian Empire directly to the king, to the Sultan of Khawarizm Shah. And the ambassador, along with few people, few delegation from Genghis Khan went, and he said to the Sultan Khawarizm Shah, this oppression happened to us Mongols, we want you to take revenge. And then you know what Sayyid Khawarizm Shah did? Another blunder. He killed the ambassador of Genghis Khan. And he did not only kill, he took the head off and he sent the head off to the Genghis Khan. And you know, in the modern political science, what happened when you kill the ambassador is the indication of war. When Genghis Khan and the Mongolians saw the situation of the ambassador, then basically that was a turning point of the history, not only for Muslims, but actually wider Europe also. This was the point when the blood of Genghis Khan boiled, and he promised at this point to, and his words were recorded, he said, just like in our sky there cannot be two moon, in our region there cannot be two sultans. So either it's me or Sayyid Khawarizm Shah, one have to die. And he prepared an army and he started the journey. And just FYI, this journey was so popular that within 100 years, they will become, Mongol Empire will going to become a largest empire on the face of the earth. Now I will tell you what happened with Muslims. The first city they attacked, or the first major city they attacked many cities. The first major city, now they're coming towards the west. The first major city they attacked was actually the city of Bukhara, famous in the modern day Uzbekistan, where our great Imam Bukhari actually taught Sahih Bukhari. When the army of Mongols came, I just want to tell you this, they did not only destroy the entire city and killed everyone, they killed men, they killed women, and yes, they killed children. Relevant, right? How many people were killed? Imam Ibn Kasir commented on this. Ibn Kasir says, we do not know how many people were killed because no one survived. In Baghdad, within 2 minutes I'll tell you, we know the numbers. In Bukhara, Ibn Kasir says, rahimahullah, that we don't even have any report. The entire annihilation, genocide, this was Mongols. And why he did this? Genghis Khan wanted to send an impression to the entire world that if you will try to show resistance, this is what we will going to do. So everyone will have this fear and everyone will surrender. Anyway, by the way, there is one famous speech which Genghis Khan gave in the Masjid of Bukhara, and I just want to actually read that. He said this, إنني نقمة الله على الأرض فإذا لم تكونوا مجرمين فإن الله ما كان يسمح لي بأن أعقابكم. He said that, O Muslims, I am the punishment of your God because you left your God. That's what Genghis Khan said. One interesting question which can come in your mind, that we were part of Abbasid Empire. We were superpower back in the days. Why Abbasid Empire? Why Abbasid Khalifa in Baghdad didn't send armies to help the people in Bukhara? This can be a question, right? Dr. Ali Salabi answers this. He says, the reason is because of our lack of unity. They were saying, if Bukhara has been taken, who cares? We have our Baghdad. And Abbasid and Khawarizm, apparently they were Muslims, but they had beef within themselves. Like if Bukhara is being genocided, okay, we can have Shakira for a concert. Who cares? Move on. Move on. Then gradually they committed same genocide in different cities. Samarkand, then Urganj. Then move on, slowly, gradually. After this genocide, Genghis Khan became old. And he is about to die. He's on his deathbed. But he wants to basically conquer the entire world. So he had 4 kids, and he made a will to his 4 kids. He says, if I will not keep them busy, they will start fighting within themselves, just like other empires and other sultans. So he wrote a will to the 4 kids. He says, I'm dying soon. Take the world map and spread in 4 different dimensions and try to capture as much as you can. And by the way, the kids and the grandkids followed the advice of Genghis Khan. Within 100 years, they built 4 principalities in the entire world. Moved in all different directions, Even Europe. The fear of Mongols was so high that in Arabic there was a rumor spread among the Muslim nations in Damascus and Syria. They would say, إِذَا قِيلَ لَكْ أَنَّ التَّتَارِ يُحْزَمُونَ فَلَا تُصَدِّقُوا. It was a rumor that if it was said to you that Mongols were defeated, do not trust them, it's a lie. They can never be defeated. This is kind of a rumor. But then 40 years later, 1258, the fall of Baghdad will come. And this was a demise of sack of Baghdad. Baghdad, the capital of Abbasids, the capital of Khalifa, the hub of intellectual golden age of Islam. More than 3 million handwritten books of highly intellectual Muslim origin. They were there in Baghdad. Biggest library at that time was in the Baghdad. What happened to the Baghdad? Just see that now. Grandson of Genghis Khan, Halaku Khan. He went with his army to attack Baghdad. And they start killing people left and right for 40 continuous days. For 40 days. The entire population of Baghdad was 2.5 million. How many? 2.5 million, out of which 1.8 million people were killed. And I'm talking about Muslims. This includes men, this includes women, and this includes children. Ibn Kathir actually says, Ibn Kathir or Ibn Athir, that even pregnant women, they killed, they opened the belly, and they murdered the fetus. Wallahu al-Musta'an. They burned 3 million books, handwritten. So the intellectual loss and human loss both came hand to hand. They killed and assassinated everyone, including the Abbasid Khalifa there, Musta'sam. Then they went to Aleppo. Then they went to Damascus. And it felt like that no one can give them defeat until Egyptians fought them. And the first time when Mongols got any defeat was actually in the Battle of Ain Jalut versus Egypt. But the problem is, this is not the stopping point. This is only one war which basically they have defeat, but they still are capturing most of the Muslim regions. Iraq is with them. Khorasan is with them. They are a threat to the Damascus and Syria and Aleppo also, to the Egypt also. And this threat will continue. But this is only one war they got defeat. And subhanAllah, Mongols had such a deadly reputation that some Muslim historians, and now listen to this, some Muslim historians that time, they were even concerned that within few years, the ummah of Muslims will be wiped off. Some Muslim historians wrote that actually they were Yajuj and Majuj because of their massacre and the habit of genocide. What will stop them? We'll try to see in the second part of the khutbah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala, amma ba'd. What stopped Mongols? What are the lessons we can learn after that? The first thing, they wanted to finish Muslims. They wanted to conquer Muslims. But at the end of the day, Islam conquered them. You know how? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have different plans. Makaruhu makarullah wallahu khairul makirin. They plan, Allah is the best of the planners. When Muslims army couldn't do anything, then Muslim scholars and Muslim du'at came in the field. And slowly and gradually, the attackers of Islam, the attackers on Muslims, Mongols, they started accepting Islam. Allahu Akbar. And within 100 years, those 4 principalities which Genghis Khan left, out of those 4, 3 will become Muslim within 100 years. Subhanallah. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have plans. Allah will use people. One of the grandson of Genghis Khan, the first one who accepted Islam was, one of the grandson of Genghis Khan was Birke Khan. He accepted Islam and he actually said that now I was going to fight against Halaku Khan and other grandsons and I was going to support Muslims. And slowly and gradually they all started accepting Islam. It started from Aleppo, Syria, Damascus, then the other parts of the Iraq and Khorasan. One of the statements which Sheikh Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi said when he was writing the history on Mongols, and I just want to read his statement, which is so relevant to us today. And I'll tell you why I'm sharing this inshallah in a minute. He said this: it was not unexpected for Mongols to win Muslim regions because Muslims were in ethical turmoil. We were military-wise, we were weak. Ethically we were struggling. We had civil war, which was making us weak. So it's not surprising an outsider army will come and attack us. But he said what is more surprising, or what is most surprising, is that Mongols were at the pinnacle of their fight and might, and Muslims were at the weak. Yet, instead of they conquering Muslims, Islam ended up conquering Mongols. Subhanallah. Isn't it interesting how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned? You might think there is no hope and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will produce an entire empire. Who will going to be the defender of Islam? Subhanallah. It shows at the end of the day, Islam will going to win the hearts. But one of the most surprising thing among this entire conversion, and I tried to look at it, I couldn't find, and actually I found Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadwi and others commented on this. In this entire conversion of Mongols, you do not find enough details or names of the scholar who converted Mongols. Subhanallah. We don't have enough details about the scholars, about the da'i, about the du'at, who basically converted or took Mongols, basically convinced the Mongols about Islam. We don't know their names. They are obscure. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that they have a very high status because they saved the ummah. It also tells me one thing. It's not about me or my name or you or your name. It's about ummah. This is extremely, extremely important. Have an ummah-centric lens. Have an ummah-centric perspective. One of the reason out of many stories, one story we got, I will just tell you this, that how did they get convinced? One of these story was around 1347, so 80 years down the road of Baghdad, there was a Mongol king, great-grandson, Tughlaq Taimur. From 1347 to 1363 was his time of basically leadership. And he was in charge of one of the principalities of Genghis Khan. He was Christian before this incident. He accepted Islam on the wisdom and invitation of one of the scholars from Bukhara, Sheikh Jamaluddin. I just want to tell you this only story which we have out of the entire Mongol dynasty accepted Islam, just to tell you how wise they were when they were inviting people to Islam. One day Tughlaq Taimur went for hunting, and he was Mongol. So imagine the threat, imagine the fear, imagine the people are scared of the Mongols. And he saw Sheikh Jamaluddin in his town. He came from Bukhara, the Sheikh Jamaluddin. So now Taghlaq Taimur wanted to harm the Sheikh because he's a Muslim, but he wanted to find a reason. And the moment he will find a reason, he will going to chop his head. So he asked the Sheikh, he says, okay, you tell me, and he's poking the Sheikh. He said, you tell me, are you better or my hunting dog is better? Are you better or my hunting dog is better? The Sheikh said, and this is a trap question. So the Sheikh responded that if I die as a Muslim, then I'm better than this dog. And if I die as a non-Muslim, then yes, this dog is better than me. Did you see what he's saying? Immediately that hit the heart of Taghlaq Taimur. And this is not one, by the way, this is from 3-4 different historians, Muslim historians, that this story is coming to us. This incident hit the heart of Taghlaq Taimur. He did not accept Islam at that time. He says, my grandfather and my father is in charge. Come back after a few years, then remind me, and then I will accept Islam. If I'll accept Islam, I will have a hard time getting that leadership. And that's what happened. Stories like this, and we don't even know. But you don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is planning. Sometimes there is an evil, apparently evil, but in the master plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's some khair in it. There are two things we can learn before I can relate this to our time. First, I already told you. Second, always internal conflict have caused us more harm than external enemies. You see the Salahuddin Ayyubi incident, you see the Mongol dynasty, whatever. Most of the time is consumed to solve the internal conflicts. Whether it's fiqhi issues, whether it's the dynasties and personal civil wars, this have caused us more harm than the outsider enemy. And in this case, when Baghdad was being attacked, a Shia sellout person who had the grudge against Sunni actually supported the Mongols. He wrote letters and spies, basically, sellout to the Mongols. The internal conflicts have caused us more harm than the external conflicts. And third, and perhaps this is the most important reason, you know, many times nowadays there is a hopelessness environment. What will happen? Ummah will not last. No, nothing will happen to Ummah. Nothing will happen to Ummah. Ummah was there before I was even in my diaper. And when I will go and my body will decompose, inshallah, Ummah will flourish. When the Abbasid Empire collapsed, when the Abbasid Khalifa was assassinated, when Muslims were massacred, when cities were falling, politically we had no leadership left, military-wise we had no strength, but still this Ummah survived and thrived because Allah changed the hearts of the attackers and make them defenders of Islam. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who actually controls everything. We don't worship Abbasid Khalifa. We don't worship Mamluk. We don't worship Changiz Khan. We don't worship anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who controls everything. Whenever you feel that this ummah is declining because of our political or military or ideological or intellectual weakness, remember that Allah will continue this ummah until the day of judgment. Yes, rulers and government will come and go. Dynasties will rise and fall, but our hearts should be attached to the ummah alone. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us this wisdom. Why I'm saying this, why I brought this story. I personally know several people in just last month from Jewish background who accepted Islam. Allahu Akbar. There is an article I would actually ask you all to see that on Guardian, that why young Americans are turning to the Quran to see the resilience and persistence of Muslims in Palestine. I know few TikToker influencers who accepted Islam just last month. And this time is different than the propaganda which they were promoting after 9/11. After 9/11, people bought Quran, but they were trying to see what is in this Quran which is making them fundamentalists. This is a different mindset. This time they are opening up Quran to see and check and learn the perseverance and resilience of Palestinian people. Because this time there is a huge materialistic void within the heart of the Westerners. They want to fill that void. That they have lost everything, but they are still saying that we have a win-win situation. And we have everything and still we are loser. What is that? This is our time. Oh, post-colonial Muslims, this is not the time to show defeatist mentality. Whenever you are going to work, whenever you are going to go to school, talk to the people and try to convince them that whatever the inner voids are, you cannot fill that with this human theology or human values which you call as higher moral values. You need divine values, and divine values only come with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know Western society have a grudge against Christian God because of whatever the history is, few hundred years. We should introduce them with a real, organic, unfiltered version of God, and that is Quran and Sunnah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give Muslims confidence so that they can give the work of da'wah, inshallah ta'ala. Allahumma ansur al-Islam wal Muslimin. Allahumma akhzul man khazala deen Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa la taj'alna ma'hum. Allahumma la tada' lana zamman illa ghafarta wa la hamman illa farrajta wa la daynan illa qadayta wa la hajata min hawa'ij ad-dunya wal akhirah illa qadayta ya arhamar rahimin wa la maridan illa shafayta wa la maytan illa rahimta wa la dalan illa hadayta ya arhamar rahimin. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات فقيم الصلاة.